Hello there. So this is week 3 of my review and reflections summary of Brené Brown's Braving the Wilderness. I'm Carrie Dubber. So thank you if you're joining me for week 3. If you want to catch up, there's week 1 and week 2 on YouTube right now. And don't forget, subscribe if you're liking this and you want more of this, and comment as well, because I'm really interested to hear how other people are getting on, or what thoughts are coming up for people. So in this chapter, the High Lonesome, she calls it, she's explaining or trying to understand how we've got in this predicament where, although we are more connected, we have more avenues to be connected, there's a rising sense of loneliness. And she's talking, her research is from the USA, 'cause that's where she is based. She's in Houston research there. But it is common through the whole of the world that we have more social media, we have more ways of connecting, emails and internet. And yet there's a rising, almost doubling from the 80s, sense of loneliness. And the context she puts is around how we are feeling more polarized, that there's a sense of trying to protect ourselves because of the rise of things like terrorism attacks since 2001, wars, and how we understand each other and fear being attacked by others, fear of judgment. So we become almost polarized in our viewpoints and want to stick together with those who think the same way, have the same sorts of beliefs. But what that does is reinforce some of those beliefs that might not be helpful or real, or connect us as humans. It's almost like seeing as the others rather than that we all belong as humans. And yet we have different points of view. So we become more hunkered down. And she cites the work of Bill Bishop and his book, The Big Sort, and noticing how we start to move ourselves to position ourselves with those that have similar views so that we feel safer and protected. But that might not be the real viewpoint that we hold inside, but it feels safer to stay down in that bunker with other people that are citing the same sorts of views and positions. So she understands that this has been happening, and yet we have this sense of deepening isolation. Somehow we have to move ourselves from going along or fitting in because that feels like it's going to protect us. And in the bigger picture, as in human terms, if we are doing that, then we are seeing the other people's opinions as the other, and it's like a dehumanization. So it's easier for us to vilify, to attack, to not understand or misunderstand other people's points of view because it feels too difficult. And it's easier then to discriminate, to have power over those other people that don't fit with how you see the world. So it's this sense of not being able to listen anymore, not being able to lean in and understand and recognize tolerance, and that our opinions matter, but not at all costs. She goes on to explain what might be at the heart of it, and she's very clear that this is about fear. And the fear is of being judged, of the fear of being misunderstood, the fear of being rejected, the fear of not being known, not being seen at all. And she also cites the work of another person, John Cacioppo. Cacioppo. Golly, I can't say it properly. But anyway, he's from the University of Chicago and he's been studying loneliness for over 20 years. And this disconnect that we're feeling is because loneliness is not the same as being alone, But what we're doing is we're lacking sense of true belonging because there's a perceived social isolation. We're experiencing loneliness when we feel disconnected because this sense of, at the heart of loneliness, the absence of meaning and meaningful social interactions. So we are not being ourselves. We are part of this group that we say we're aligned to, but maybe we're not. So there's this real disconnect. And at the heart of that is fear. Fear of rejection, fear of being misunderstood, fear of what others might say of us. So that's the work that needs to be done. We need to recognize when we're going into a fear state and to identify how we truly think and feel about a situation, not the doctrine that we might have adopted down in the bunker to protect ourselves. So this feeling of loneliness can be when we are not connecting because we are not being authentic in ourselves. So the wilderness, as Brené Brown describes it, is that moving out of the bunker and going into the open wilderness land where you are owning your truth, what you believe, and that is obviously can be changeable, but you'll recognize that it's important to stand up and stand your ground in that way. So the rest of the book after this is ways that we can start identifying and standing up and rising from that bunkered position into something that feels that we are trying to connect humanly to each other and to help ourselves heal from that process of feeling afraid and feeling ashamed. So it's exciting work, moving out of the bunker, having the courage to show up for each other, having the courage to be vulnerable, to feel hurt rather than spread hurt. That's the message. Very powerful. So if you're reading that chapter, really interesting, I'd love to hear your thoughts too. And look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now.